This is a presentation on the constellations Sagittarius and Capricornus. These are summertime constellations in the northern hemisphere. This is the part of the sky one of these constellations is in. You may see something you recognize in there. This is probably best to look at in a darkened room because a little bit of glare and you can lose these points of light here. In this part of the sky, we see the asterism that we use for identifying Sagittarius. It looks like a teapot. Sagittarius is supposed to be an archer, but particularly if you live as far north as I happen to, you never see the bottom part of the constellation, and we're lucky to see that teapot asterism for just a few months in the summer. So that's what most people look for. Over in this part of the sky is Scorpius. This was a picture I took, I don't know where, somewhere out at night one time, but from either Washington or Oregon, and you can't see the bottom part of Scorpius, so you have to make do with the rest of it. You can see we're missing a little bit of the scorpion there. That's about where the horizon is at my latitude. Okay, here's a picture of this part of the sky taken from much farther south. This was taken from the big island of Hawaii, which is somewhere around 20 degrees north latitude. I live at 47 degrees north latitude, so you can see much more. And it was a longer time exposure picture. You can see a lot of Milky Wayness in there. In fact, when we're looking in the direction of Sagittarius, we're looking at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, or toward that. It's just off the steam spout of the teapot. There's Sagittarius within there. Maybe you can identify the teapot already. There it is. So above that spout on the right end of the constellation is the center of the Milky Way galaxy, or the direction to it anyway. And then over here you can see Scorpius, and from this particular latitude you can see all of the shape of the scorpion there. Here's another picture that was taken that same night, maybe a longer time exposure, and you can see all that Milky Wayness in there, and you can see why it was called the Milky Way. There's Sagittarius, and then over to the right is Scorpius again. We haven't gotten to Capricornus yet, but we will. By the way, these pictures were taken on Mauna Loa near the Atmospheric Physics Observatory there, but there are scattered around near that observatory. There are some astronomy observatories, small telescopes, not the huge ones like you have over on Mauna Kea, but still there are some observatories there. Okay, finally we'll get to Capricornus here. And something to notice as far as the word goes, it's not just Capricorn. The constellation is Capricornus, and it's within that circle there. It's supposedly a sea goat, but doesn't, who knows what a sea goat looks like. It's a mythical creature anyway, but it does look like a dented triangle, and that's what I try to look for when I'm out here trying to track it down. And Sagittarius, part of it at least, is over on the right side of this picture. There's Sagittarius again. I'll pop back out of that view and see if you can identify the dented triangle there. To the left of Capricornus is Aquarius, can see that there. I have a hard time seeing Aquarius. They're all faint stars in that. And about the most distinctive feature for Aquarius, I'll show you here, is this little figure of stars right up here, which sort of looks like a Mercedes-Benz hood ornament. And that's about all that I can recognize in Aquarius. I have a hard time seeing that many-sided figure below that hood ornament. And as far as tracing the line from just above Capricornus over to there, you've got a bunch of faint stars again. It's just a challenge. And it's also, because it's fairly close to our southern horizon, a lot of time you'll kind of lose it in the haze. One of the deep sky objects in Capricornus is Messier object number 30, right there. Lots of stars in there. And then we'll have a look at some of the deep sky objects that are in Sagittarius. M22, Messier object 22, looks like a globular cluster. And then the Trifid Nebula is in this part of the sky. And the Lagoon Nebula is below it. You can just about see these with the naked eye if you're under dark enough skies. And they're pretty spectacular in a long time exposure telescope picture. The Lagoon Nebula there and the Trifid Nebula. And look how crowded these stars are when you start blowing up this part of the sky. We're looking toward the center of the Milky Way when we're getting these pictures, and stars are more crowded there, so we see a lot more. And Sagittarius A star you cannot see with a visible light telescope. It's the black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, and between us and that black hole are many clouds of gas and dust that block the visible light from that part. However, it can be seen in radio, and so we use radio telescopes to study that part of the sky.